Linda, and this is Kelly, and you are watching the Grow Curriculum Deep Dive for the series Wonderful, which is our first series from the new volume 6 of Grow Kids. For the next few minutes, we're just going to give you a big picture overview of what you can expect for this series, and we just want you to be better prepared to teach it. But also, we're going to give you some in depth looks at some of the specific things that you might want to know in advance and some fun tips for you to just take the series to the next level.
Linda, I'm so excited for volume 6 for this series. It's going to be wonderful.
It's going to be
Okay,
wonderful.
it is. If you are a Grow user, our goal is to give you a head start in preparing for this series. And if you're not a Grow user, that's cool too. Feel free to steal these ideas. We love when you steal ideas from us.
Yes, we are so generous that way. But really, we just really love being able to share all the ideas, and you can take them and use them however you'd like. So, what we're going to do right now is if you're new to these deep dives, we're going to start off with a little bit of an overview of the series, Wonderful. And then we'll look at the theme, which is all the fun, like decorating and craft ideas. And then we'll look at the structure of how each week's lesson is laid out. And then we'll just send you off with some tips for you to make Wonderful even more wonderful. So, Wonderful is a series all about, well, how wonderful God is. We're going to be looking at a few of the Psalms, and we're going to help kids learn not just what worship is, but some different ways that we can worship God.
So here's how this is going to work. In week 1, we'll take a look at Psalm 33, which talks about how God watches over all, and we can put our hope in God's unfailing love instead of our own strength. That's why week 1's big idea is we can worship by putting our hope in God.
And then we'll continue with week 2, where we go to Psalm 80. And that's a psalm filled with metaphors and imagery of vines and branches. And we think it's probably the psalmist telling us how they're feeling at the time. And so this passage ends with asking God to restore us. So that'll remind kids this week that we can worship by asking for God's help.
That brings us to week 3, where we will be in Psalm 103. This is one of my favorite Psalms. In the Psalm, the psalmist praises God for all of the things that he remembers from the past, God's forgiveness, healing, his compassion. And so the big idea for week 3 is we can worship by remembering what God has done.
And finally, in week 4, we're going to wrap up the series with Psalm 112, where we're reminded of what it means to be righteous in God's eyes. Like in verse 5, where it mentions, good will come to those who are generous and lend freely, who conduct their affairs with justice. So that's why this week's big idea is we can worship by living for God.
And our memory verse, of course, comes from the Psalms as well in this series. It captures the heart of the series so perfectly. It's Psalm 139, verse 14. And it says, I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well.
Okay, so let's talk about the theme, which I think is the most exciting part. This month's decorating theme is the natural wonders of the world because we're talking with kids about worshiping God, and one wonderful way to do that is to be in awe of God's creation. So, if you've looked through the series already, you'll notice that each week focuses on a different natural wonder of the world. Week 1, we're looking at the Northern Lights. In week 2, we're looking at Mount Everest. Week 3, we're looking at the Grand Canyon. And week 4, we're diving into the Great Barrier Reef, no pun intended. And now this is where we're super lucky to have Kelly joining us on this deep dive because she puts together our programming guides, y'all. And so she is very well versed in kids ministry and all the fun stuff that comes with it. So Kelly, please tell us some of the fun ideas we have for this series.
Yes. Okay. Well, first, the programming guide is one of my absolute favorite resources that we provide because it gives so much inspiration to us. I love going through and trying to find different crafts and activities, snacks and decor that goes with it. So, for this series, we're going to talk first all about the snacks. Who doesn't love snacks, right? So we have in the programming guide a recipe link for 15 creative s'mores recipes. Not your normal s'mores. Add the cookies, add the chocolate covered pretzels, add all of the deliciousness, and make a wonderful s'more treat. The other snacks that are listed in the programming guide for this series are a little bit more on the healthy side. We have some popcorn, some applesauce pouches, like if you were going hiking to look at all of these wonderful natural wonders of the world. And of course, trail mix is a must when we are doing a series like this. The other parts of the programming guide that you'll find are the props and the decor for this series are so easy. They're so fun. When you take a look at the programming guide, there's walking sticks that you can make with kids. There's a ton of different Great Barrier Reef crafts and things that you can do with pipe cleaners. There are some rock painting ideas in there. And of course, you can go as elaborate or as minimal as you want with the decor and the props. But of course, backpacks, maps, really cool camping gear, anything that you would need to go and travel to see these wonderful places that God has made.
I love that, Kelly. And also, those of you who are watching, what would be really fun at this time is if you can tally how many times Kelly and I say the word wonderful. That'll just be really fun.
Yeah, we would give a prize out if someone can accurately say that.
Oh, that would be so fun. Maybe one of these wonderful series ideas, huh?
What a
Um,
wonderful suggestion.
Wonderful. There you go. Add 3 more to your list. And on that note, make sure you guys do check out the programming guide because it is just full of all of these wonderful ideas and more. And you know what? Let us know what you do with it as well because I know all of you are so creative and we just really love seeing what you do. Next up, we want to give you a look at the structure of the series. Now, if you've been using Grow for a while, you'll know that some of the things stay the same from series to series. Like our teaching is always broken down into 3 major sections. The first one is the what section, which is kind of like the opening, like what are we talking about today? And then the second section is the so what section, where we talk about, well, why does this matter to us? Why does this matter to God? And this is where all the teaching happens. And then finally, we have the now what section, which is the application where kids get to kind of sit and just think very deeply about the things that they have learned today.
Yeah. But hopefully you've seen in this series and even within each week has a different structure within that. So use these deep dives because we want to help you see the structure that makes each series so unique so you have a better grasp on how to teach it before you teach it.
So for this series, there are quite a couple of recurring segments that makes this series super unique. And so we're going to talk about that for a little bit. And there are 3 things that we want to point out for you today, and that is the Bible story, the big idea reveal, and the small group activities.
So, for the Bible story, in every week of Grow Kids, we focus on 2 passages of scripture. The first is going to be the main Bible story, and the second is going to be a supporting Bible passage that reinforces what we talk about on that day. In addition to reading the scripture to or with your kids, we also know that it's super valuable to tell the story in really fun and engaging ways. So that will help kids retain what they've learned. Linda, what about the Bible teaching in the Wonderful series? What makes it different from all the other wonderful series that we have?
Oh, I love that wordplay. Teaching from the Psalms, you guys, is so hard, I think, for kids, especially because there's not really like a meaty story to go along with it, but there's just so much richness from the Psalms that we want the kids to learn. So, in this series, every week we have a leader come out and tell a story about their adventures or misadventures, rather, while trying to explore each of the natural wonders. And when they hit a snag in their trip, they talk about how they turned to the Bible and discovered a psalm that helped them through their very situation. So, whether you play this character yourself as the ministry leader or you ask another leader to participate and help bring this character to life, it's going to be a good time. And I think kids will really enjoy hearing the stories and also hearing about the Psalms through this very endearing character.
Next, we're going to talk about the big idea reveals. You mentioned, Linda, that the big idea reveals for this month are going to be unique. The big idea is a short, simple sentence that encapsulates the truth that we are trying to communicate to the kids and to help them remember each week's Bible story. Every month, we try to reveal the big ideas in a super fun and on theme way. So, Linda, tell us what we're doing for Wonderful.
Okay, so for this series, each week's big idea has these keywords that we're going to help kids just kind of sear into their heads. We have hope for week one, help for week two, remember for week three, and live for week four. And so, what we're suggesting is getting these wired string lights that you can shape into these keywords and hanging them in your ministry space. And of course, you can reuse them. So you can like take it off week one and then reshape it into the week two words. Or if you want, you can just create one for every week and leave them all up in your ministry space. But if that's not something you want to do, you can also write on star cutouts or use glow in the dark paint, whatever to really light up the keyword from each big idea to help kids just make it sticky in their brains.
Yeah. Okay, and the small group activities. The third thing that we are going to talk about is the small group activity. We provide a ton of different modules that you can do in either the large group or the small group. But the small group activity, we try our best to provide something that's really hands on to review what the kids learned that day. Uh, Linda, what wonderful small group activity are we doing this month?
I love this, Kelly. I love this so much. We have some really fun crafts for kids to do in small groups this month. And I know some of you have provided some feedback saying we need more crafts. So this is for you.
Give the people
These
what they
activities.
want.
Yes, we want to give you all the things you want. These activities connect a theme with the things that they've been learning, and they're just super fun. So, in week one, they're going to do a Northern Lights CD art. And yes, we realize that most of your kids will not know what this little silver disc is, which will make it even more interesting, I think.
They'll be
And
amazed at what it is.
exactly. And the teaching point here is that lights help us see when it's dark, like the northern lights. And just like how God gives us hope when hope feels lost. And so that's the connection we're making with this craft and with this theme. In week two, we're doing this activity called My Mountain. Like we mentioned earlier, the theme for that week is Mount Everest. And so we're talking about how problems in our lives, we often refer to them as mountains that we have to climb. But we're reminding kids that you don't have to climb them alone. So you're going to make this really cool craft to remind them that they can ask for God's help. In week three, we're doing gratitude jars and just we're just helping kids remember how much God has been a presence in their lives and for them to just stay attuned to picking up the different ways that God is doing things in their lives and to be thankful for them. And lastly, in week four, we're doing a game slash craft, which is this activity called Kindness Toss, because it is the Great Barrier Reef. We're bringing a little bit of the ocean into it by using this beach ball, where kids get to toss the balls around to each other. And each time they pick up someone else's ball, they get to write some words of kindness for one another to remind them that living for God looks a lot like this.
I love it. I actually can't pick which one might be my favorite small group activity for this month. But we have covered the overview, the theme, the structure of this series, and now we just have a few miscellaneous tips to help you make the most of this wonderful series.
Okay, so here are some wonderful tips for you guys. The first one is we want you to check out Callie's Big Idea Songs. Now, if you don't know who Callie is our wonderful puppet friend from our preschool videos, Callie's World. And new to this volume is that she is singing original songs, y'all. It's exciting because not only is it an original song created by our amazing team at Harvest Arc, but get this, all of the big ideas for the month are included in this wonderful song.
We can worship by putting our hope in God. We can worship by asking for God's help. We can worship by remembering.
And not only that, she also sings out the same tune when she introduces the big idea each week, like kind of this really cool a cappella thing that she does.
We can worship by putting our hope in God.
So we're going to hope that this helps the younger kids just really remember the big idea, especially when you set something to a melody. It's really hard to forget it. So even if you're not in preschool ministry, I suggest you check out Callie's World. You check out these songs because I feel like even your leaders are going to love these songs.
Tip number 2 that we have for you is use digital backdrops. Now, I know that some of you out there are just crushing it every month with your decor. We love when you tag us in photos and you send them to us. We love checking out what you're doing. But I know that some of you might not have the resources to make that happen every month, and that's okay. For my church, I actually use the same space for 3 different age groups on a Sunday. And so I love digital backdrops because it's a simple way that you can bring the theme to life in your space without having to spend a bunch of money or have a bunch of wall space or floor space that you have to use up. So, what you can do is in your space, just project the image of the natural wonder during your ministry time, one for each week, and there you go. Voila.
I love that tip because I'm at a very small church and we share a space with a different church, so we can't leave anything up anyway. So everything needs to be removable. So if this is you, then this is a wonderful idea. Oh, I said it again. For you to just bring your theme to life in your space. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for being on this deep dive with me. I really hope y'all enjoy just hearing some of these ideas. And also, we want to hear your ideas and see your ideas. We really mean it. You know, Elle and I have said this from month to month about how we love seeing your stuff. Like, keep putting it out there because not only do we love it, but all the other Grow users and non Grow users love it because it gives them ideas as well. So feel free to drop them in this Facebook group or tag us on Instagram at Stuff You Can Use and just reach out at any time. We are here to make your Grow adventure a wonderful one.
A wonderful one. Hey, you guys have a wonderful day, and we'll catch you later.
Bye.